Hi guys, thanks for watching this video. Today we are going to work in my budget planner and do some updates for the month of November. So let's go ahead and take a look at my planner and do some expense tracking. So let's start this video by looking at some of my financial goals that I set for the month of November to kind of keep me rooted in what I'm supposed to be trying to accomplish for the end of the year. We'll see how that goes. But this is the goal setting portion of my budget planner, and you will see that for the month of November, I really wanted to work on setting my 2026 financial plans. I have started that process. I'm really excited about that. I also needed to start building a Christmas financial plan. I'm excited about that as well. And I also wanted to work on some of my auto savings. So those were really my kind of 3 goals that I wanted to work on for the month of November. Now, that we have that set, because I'm going to talk about that throughout this video, let's just start by taking a look at my expenses and doing some updates there. We've already gone over how I set up my budget for the month. So we are going to work in the expense tracking section. So if you've been watching my videos, you know that I use a digital cash envelope system, and that is the expense tracking approach that I take. So for the first week of November, I had a lot of expenses. I always do the beginning of the month because most of my bills are due at the beginning of the month. And so I generally have a lot of expenses. So let's get right into it because I've already listed these. I do have my cash envelopes here that I use. I do not use cash, so I don't use these for cash. I use these for receipts. So we will reference these throughout this video. But to get us started off, I started the month by making sure, I'm going to go back a page, by kind of looking at my digital envelope breakdown and determining how much money I needed to put in my digital envelope checking account for the beginning of the month. And so I established that I would need $350. I actually ended up putting $500 because I had some expenses that I wanted to cover the beginning of the month. So that is tracked here. I made that deposit for $500. And so my variable checking account, which is for my digital envelope spending, had $500 in it to start the month. Now, let's talk about how I represent that in my overall expenses. So in my expense tracker section, I have a digital envelope section on the left. That is where I track my digital envelope spending, which is basically my variable accounts, you guys. And then on the right, I have expense trackers. I have one page for digital envelopes and one page for my main account. So let's start at the main account, because that's where my paycheck, my W-2 pay comes into. So my main account, I received my income deposit, and then I immediately started paying bills. I pay bills first. I always do that. And so I have several transactions here. These I don't have receipts for because I usually pay all this stuff online. And then yeah, all this orange is just my highlighting for my bills category. So you see it's just bills, bills, bills. I will say the benefit of using cash envelopes, whether it's digital or not, is that it really does help you separate your variable expenses from your fixed expenses. So for me, I love to see that my main account is primarily bills, because that means I am spending out of my variable account, which means I'm following my budget more than likely. Because when I'm just spending out of my main account, I tend to overspend. So I actually kind of like seeing that this is mostly bills. But what I do want to highlight is down at the bottom, you will see that I did a variable transfer out of my main account for $500, and that went into my digital envelope spending account. and that's the account that I spend out of ongoing for my variable expenses. And so the reason I'm highlighting this is that people ask me all the time, well, how do you manage a digital cash envelope system? And it's actually quite easy. You just need to make sure you have your account set up appropriately. I have a main account where all of my income from work goes into. From that account, I distribute money to different places. I either send money to my savings account, I send money, or I should say to my long-term savings account, or either my sinking fund savings account, which is a short-term savings account, or I send money to my digital envelope variable spending account. And then the rest of it will sit in my main account as a cushion, which I rarely have cushions, or I'll move it over to savings, right? That's ultimately what you need to do to start a digital cash envelope system. So you see where I transferred $500 out of my main account into my digital envelope spending. And so my starting transfer here was $500. And this is where I keep a running total of that account. This is the digital envelopes account. That is how I have it labeled at my bank. It's actually labeled digital envelopes / variables. But that's how it's labeled at my bank, so that I know that that is the account, and it corresponds to the entry I put here to indicate how much money I deposited. Now for the rest of the month, I hope not to deposit more than $200. I don't think I'm going to be able to meet that, because this is Black Friday month and I'm going to do a lot of Christmas shopping that I really probably didn't account for, and I should have. That was poor planning on my part, but it is what it is. Okay, so not to get off track. So back to checking my expenses. So now I have my $500 in my variable account, and I went and I bought several items. This is where I keep my receipts when I am out shopping for whatever. If it's grocery, if it's dining out, if it's personal, I keep my receipts. I just use a cash envelope. These envelopes are available with the budget planner. If you pick up this planner, it will be linked down below. They're in my shop. The fall themed envelopes are also available in my shop, but they are separate. But anyways, I use one envelope per month for all of my receipts, and I label it receipts. And the only thing I keep in here are receipts. I don't keep cash. And then if I'm out shopping or I've bought something for that day or that week, I come in and I reference my receipt to fill out my expense tracker. And that's where these numbers come from. The other envelopes I have are hobbies and bonus cash. So I have a hobbies envelope because I tend to overspend in that category, and I overspent already. So, but you know, I'm not mad about it. But this is a category I need to watch. This is where I buy my books, my coloring books, my planners, all that stuff. So I have a special envelope just because I need to keep a closer eye on it. But I do the same thing. I put receipts in here, no cash. And then I have one envelope for bonus cash, just in case I do get some bonus cash. Sometimes I do, but it's rare. I also, on the back of these envelopes, if I buy something that I can't get a receipt for, then I do write it on the back of the envelope. For example, I don't really have physical receipts for my Amazon purchases, so I just write those down. Most online things I don't have physical receipts for, so that's how I use the back of these envelopes, things that I didn't get a receipt for. So that's how that works. Okay, so looking at this, I had several expenses, and if I look at my receipts, they are all captured on these receipts. For example, Five Below, I came in, I spent $4.20 on Five Below. You see that here. This check mark means I've already entered that receipt in my expense tracker, so I don't have to worry about it, because I just keep adding receipts throughout the month. So putting that check mark allows me to be able to easily tell which ones I've already entered. So that's what I've done for all of these receipts in here. And that's where all these entries come from. I list my category so that I can keep track of the category. And then what I do from here is I take this information and I update my digital envelopes. These are actually my digital envelope trackers. These cash envelopes where I put my receipts. This is just for fun, right? This is just a nice way to keep my receipts and to keep me connected to cash envelope system and have that tangible feeling, as this kind of very similar to when you're dealing with cash. This allows me to do that. But this is not the digital envelope. This is an actual envelope, right? The digital piece of this cash envelope system, digital cash envelope system, is on the left-hand side of my monthlies or weeklies if you're doing this by week. And this is where I come in and do my actual tracking for that category. So after entering all of my receipts here, I make sure I keep a running total. And I do have a few that I still need to update, specifically from my hobbies. So if I look at my hobbies receipts, I have 2 or 3 receipts that I have not updated, and I need to. So let's go ahead and get those updated. I have an Office Depot receipt for $16.41. I actually bought a planner, which I will have a haul video about. So that is for hobbies. And that was $11.05. Okay, and I put my check mark here. I bought some books, an adult coloring book, actually, at Books A Million. And that was $6.57, and that was $11.05. Okay, and then at Target I bought a book and some highlighters, so that goes under hobby. I bought several other things because I spent $63. Don't judge, don't judge. The highlighters were not that expensive, you guys. They actually were on a really great sale. But books are expensive nowadays, if y'all didn't know. But I bought some other things too. I bought, I think, a book. I bought some laminating sheets. I bought a sale on the highlighters. So, you know, stuff is expensive out here. Stuff is expensive out here. That's all I got to say. Okay, so all of these items, these entries are now updated. I did my check marks. I'm going to fold these back up and put them in my envelopes. So these are all updated. Now what I need to do is do my running totals and update my totals here. So what you notice is, even though I use a digital cash envelope, guys, I follow the exact same process as if you were using a cash envelope. If you were using cash envelopes, you would be doing the same thing. The only difference is that you would be adding up the cash in your envelopes to see how much you had left and how much you had spent. That's really the big difference. Oh, this is for bills. I need to find the highlighter I use for hobbies. Where are you? Okay, down here. So just go ahead and highlight these. And I have one more thing that I need to do to finish up my expenses. I'm going to move this over and take this page out. I need to update my actual digital envelope, because this is where I keep track of my running balance. And you see, I budgeted $100 for the whole month for hobbies. I don't know what I was thinking, knowing that this is Black Friday month, because I'm already over by $126 and about to be over, I think, almost $200. But you know, I am, let me use another pen with a little bit smaller tip. I am probably going to run out of space, but this planner does come with extension pages, so I will use extension pages when I run out of space. So I am actually not super concerned about going over, because This is Black Friday month. I kind of knew that I was going to have a lot of hobby expenses. I don't know why I didn't budget more than $100. That's just kind of my bad. But one of the reasons I'm not too concerned is that I did budget, so I am definitely over by like $212. So one of the reasons I'm not too concerned is that I did budget a lot for my personal, and I think that's what I was thinking about. I think I was thinking that for Black Friday, I would do a mix of like personal spending and hobby spending. And so I was thinking, well, together, that might be enough. And it's still not going to be enough because I'm over by 212, but I'm way under on personal. And I just don't anticipate having too many more personal expenses this month. So I have a little bit of cushion here. I'm also way under on dining out. So after doing all my dining out, I have $81 left in that budget for the month. I have $25 left in my budget for auto. I'm going to spend that on gas for sure. And I have $245 left in my budget for grocery, which I will probably spend the rest of the month. So I have a little bit of cushion, so I'm not super stressed out here. And I actually don't anticipate buying a ton more for my hobbies, even on Black Friday. So I'm feeling pretty good about it overall. But that is how I keep track of my actual digital envelopes. This is the actual digital envelope piece. And yes, the hobbies envelope looks kind of crazy. It's very full right now. Like I said, if I run out of space, this planner does come with extension pages, and I'll put that in there so that I can have extra envelope space. But overall, I feel really good about my November budgeting so far. I feel so much less stressed doing it at the monthly level than I did at the paycheck level when I was doing it in October. I can't speak to why. I don't know, but I do. October was like super stressful for some reason. And I just feel a little bit calmer in November. Now, it could be because this is my second month trying this new system. It could be that I'm doing it budget by month in November when I did it budget by paycheck in October. I don't know, but I'm really liking the budget by month versus the budget by paycheck so far. Okay, so that is how I work through my digital envelope systems, my digital cash envelope system to keep track of my expenses and where I am. I'm doing really good on my variable envelopes, my cash envelopes. I'm doing great on those, other than hobbies, but I'm not stressed. And yeah, looks good. A couple of other things I want to show you, because guess what, guys? I do have a freebie for this video. So coming into the end of the year and this holiday season, right? We know that we are going to have a super crazy end of the year. I mean, it's a lot going on. Big holidays are coming up. We spend a lot of money. The economy is trash. We know all this. So it is a lot going on. So I created this financial refresh and rescue plan, and I'll probably do a separate video on it, but I just want to share it with you at the end of this video, that this is a freebie to all of my channel members. If you are interested, I will make it available to you guys in your planner inserts link for your perks. So this is not a part of the budget planner. This is a freebie that I just created this weekend, basically, because I wanted to make sure that I was hyper focused on certain things going into the end of this year, rolling over to the beginning of next year. So this is set up so that you have 1 or 2, maybe 3, no more than that, goals that you're hyper focusing on for a very short period of time. And then you have a financial snapshot for that same period. For me, I set it up for 3 months, November, December, January. And then you have a space to write down your expected expenses and major purchases and savings. And then if you want to do a debt cram down, you have a space to do that. The intent here, though, is for you to be very vigilant over a certain period of time. Maybe you have a very specific goal that you want to accomplish, or something that you want to save, or something that you want to pay down, and you just need to have some extra focus on that area. That's why it's called Refresh and Rescue. I couldn't think of a better name, if I'm being honest with you. But sometimes you need to be rescued out of your budget. Let's be real. And sometimes you just need to pause and do a little reflecting and refreshing it. Sometimes you need to do both. I don't know. But I know for me, it's a little bit of both. So I am going to have a separate video going over these pages. And I will get that posted. But I just wanted to share it with you and let you know that these pages it's just one page, but it will be available to all channel members for free. So that link will be down below. And the other area that I want to talk about in my budget for this month is actually my Christmas planning. So let's talk a little bit about, again, digital envelopes, because when you're doing cash envelopes, a lot of times people do cash envelopes for more than just their variable spending. They do them for savings challenges, sinking funds, things like that. And so this system allows you to do the same thing, right? You still can use digital cash envelopes for all those things. And I wanted to show you how I'm using my digital envelopes to track my Christmas spending. So basically in this planner, I have a digital envelope syncing worksheet, which allows me to list my sinking fund challenges, savings challenges, anything that I want to track as a digital envelope. I just list it here. And I just list when I started, the envelope, digital envelope that I'm creating or saving in, the category, and my goal. And then when I've completed it, I have a space to check it off. So for example, I had one for my birthday travel, which I completed in October because I went on my birthday trip the end of October, and I've checked it off. That's done. The only other active one I have going on right now is Christmas savings. And my goal is $1,000, although I did adjust it to $1,500, but that's neither here nor there. And that's not complete yet, but that's the only other active one I have. So this worksheet is just listing my sinking funds. If I was correlating this to having a physical envelope, this worksheet would be like listing my envelopes, right? That's what this would be. This would be looking at my envelopes and saying, what envelopes do I have? Not what's in them, but what envelopes do I have, and flipping through them. That's what this corresponds to. Now, how do I keep track? Well, I have a digital envelope savings account at my bank, and it's labeled digital envelope sinking funds. So this is my digital envelope sinking account. This is where I keep track of the money that's actually in the digital envelope, because it corresponds to the money in this savings account. What is a little bit unique for me and my budget approach is that I only have one sinking funds account. I think where people get a little bit confused and they get overwhelmed with doing a digital cash envelope system is that they try to have like 10 different sinking fund accounts at their bank, and that just gets to be really overwhelming to manage. And you really don't have to do that, you guys. You can if you want to. You can, but it's going to be hard to maintain that for a long time. It's going to be hard to sustain it. So I don't do that. I tried it. It didn't work for me. I use one sinking funds account, and I use a tracker to help me identify how much money is in that account for each envelope. So this is my tracker. So for example, I make a sinking fund deposit, and this column, this is the key column. For each deposit or withdrawal, I label what envelope that money is coming out of, because this is a digital envelope, right? So for my birthday travel, if I go through what I've done so far in the last quarter of this year, my birthday travel, I had $800 in the account. It was all for my birthday travel. I also made a $50 deposit for my Christmas savings. So at one point, my account had $850. And I knew by looking at my tracker that $800 was for my birthday travel, $50 was for Christmas. So then I took out $800 when I went on my trip, and that only left 50, right? So I know that that 50 is for my Christmas savings because I have it labeled here, okay? And then I made an additional deposit this pay period of $70 for my Christmas savings fund because that's all that I'm saving for right now. And that brought the total to 120. Okay, so this is how I keep track. So if I go to that account now, I see 120 and all of it is for Christmas because I have spent my birthday travel money and I've closed that savings goal. That challenge is over. So there's no more money in here for that challenge. It's all for my Christmas savings. And that's how you keep track of it in a digital system. It's fairly straightforward once you get used to it. Then the other pages I'm going to show you are completely optional. You can just do that and don't do anything else. But I like to have the visual, right? We all like visuals. We're decorative planners. So I use this digital cash envelope challenge page, which comes with the planner. And you see, it's just an image of an envelope. It's not the actual envelope, but it's fun, right? And since it's a digital system, I don't need a physical envelope, but it's nice to still represent that. So you see for my birthday travel, I kept track on this envelope. And this is, again, this is optional. This is so that I can still get that feeling and experience of using an envelope. And there are many trackers. You can do it many different ways. You'll see for Christmas, I'm going to do a different approach. But I have my birthday travel here, and I closed it out. So that one was done. When I set this up, I originally thought I would do my Christmas savings fund on one of these as well, but I changed my mind and I decided not to do that. My Christmas savings fund, I am using my sinking funds tracker. The main reason I decided to use the sinking funds tracker instead of the envelope is that with Christmas, I'm constantly withdrawing funds because I'm buying gifts for people, right? So I'm saving and I'm buying at the same time. And I want to make sure that I don't go over my $1,500 goal. So I thought the sinking funds tracker made more sense because it's set up to kind of do that. The amounts have a plus or minus here for deposits and withdrawals. And I had a lot of entry space because I tend to buy little things here or there for Christmas when I'm at stores. I'm not the type of person to just save $1,500 and go spend all of that $1,500 on one major shopping day. Like that would drive me nuts. I do not do that. I tend to buy a little bit here, buy a little bit there. And so I thought this would better reflect how I just needed more space to keep track of those entries. And so there's that. And then I am using a visual, and this is just for fun. This is just my Christmas savings challenge. This doesn't show withdrawals or anything like that. It just keeps me up to date of when I have hit my goal. So I just color in one of the gift bags. Each gift bag is worth $60. I just did that by taking my goal, which was $1,500, and dividing, I think I have 25 here, dividing it by 25 bags, and each bag is $60. And so when I have saved the corresponding amount, I color them in. Once this tracker is complete, it's complete, and that lets me know I've saved all my money. Whether or not I have $2 left on this tracker because I've spent $14.98. Once I save $1,500, it's saved, it's done. So that's how I'm using my trackers. You don't have to use these 3 or 4 pages. You could just use the first 2 I showed you and call it a day. But that is my budget, and I just kind of wanted to show you where I am with everything. Keep your eye out for that video on using that financial rescue insert, because I think it's a great insert, and I can't wait to do the video for that one. So thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week planning.